Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen and welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday at 4:30 p.m. to reflect on the boxing action that's taken place on the weekend. And this week, obviously, the massive fight that took place Saturday night, Madison Square Garden in New York, was Triple G Gennady Golovkin aiming to reclaim a portion of the world middleweight title that he was once synonymous with. And he did just about capture the IBF, or recapture the IBF version of the title in a hard-fought, grueling contest, compelling contest, and really worth watching with the Ukrainian Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko in his only previous defeat, and again a shot at the same title against Danny Jacobs, had won a lot of hearts out there of fans because of his spirited effort. But he took it to a whole other level this time around against Golovkin, and we'll talk about Golovkin in a minute. Derevyanchenko was something of a revelation in this fight. His work rate was outstanding. His movement was great. The way he moved around the target as he was unloading his combinations with little steps to either side of Golovkin to make space for his shots to the head and the body and getting the little uppercuts going on the inside was just really impressive. But even more so was the heart and resilience he showed. He got knocked down relatively heavily in the first round, and then soon after was cut quite badly on the right eye, and that hampered him for portions of the fight going on, and he still managed to make it an incredibly close contest. A lot of people had Derevyanchenko winning. I'm not one of them. I had it 6-6 in rounds, and with the knockdown Golovkin scored in the first gave him the edge by a point, so I had him 114-113, which was in line with one of the judges. The other two had it 115-112, which is 7-5 in rounds plus the knockdown. Some of the rounds I gave to Derevyanchenko could have gone the other way. There was at least 4, I would say, in the fight, really close sessions. So I didn't completely understand why fans were booing Triple G while he was talking at the end, or maybe not booing him, but booing while he was doing his post-fight interview. I understand that a lot of them may have felt Derevyanchenko had done enough to win, but it was a sufficiently close fight that there's no reason to boo a decision that reflected that. It was an incredibly close fight, and the scores were very close too. No complaints about the judges here. And Golovkin, to his credit, didn't say it was anything other than close and gave a lot of respect during that post-fight interview to Derevyanchenko, having done so privately in the immediate moments after the fight. So it did seem unfair. But let's talk about Golovkin. He didn't seem his usual self, it's fair to say. It's kind of caught between styles at the moment. His second fight under a new trainer in Jonathan Banks, who's been quite open. It's a great interview on our channel that Jonathan Banks did after the fight with Radio Raheem, where he talks about how he's trying to... 2 key things he's looking for from Golovkin is more productivity, some more punch volume, and also just a better defence. You know, not coming forward in straight line so much, moving his head a bit more, and a bit more lateral movement. So 2 key things he's looking to improve. And Golovkin's not quite there yet, and he seemed to admit as much himself after the fight. Against someone like Derevyanchenko, who's busy, who uses a lot of lateral movement, it's important for Golovkin that he doesn't, as Banks said, become too comfortable, or he has become too comfortable with moving backwards. You know, Derevyanchenko came forward a lot. He was aggressive in this fight. And at times it actually looked like, and it's quite strange to watch, seeing as Golovkin's rise was all about him overpowering people. And on the front foot, as a front foot counterpuncher under Sanchez, it seemed like Golovkin was being bullied at times. Certainly in the 5th round, he seemed to be hurt to the body, backed off quite a lot. But just generally in the fight, he was belaboured a lot by Derevyanchenko, who was swarming over him a lot of the time. And Golovkin was often backed onto the ropes and into the corners. We're not used to seeing that from him. But as Jonathan Banks said, the more you're comfortable going backwards, the more you're inviting your opponents to come forwards onto you. So that's something they're going to be working on even more in the gym. Golovkin still wants that 3rd fight with Canelo Alvarez, of course, his arch nemesis, if you like. And I think if Alvarez is watching this, thinks there's still a lot of money to be made from that fight, he'll have seen enough vulnerability in Golovkin, who's obviously aging. You know, he's not as young as he used to be. And something else Banks pointed out in that interview, that all the other elite fighters at middleweight are younger than Golovkin, which makes it even more important that he adjusts his style in a manner to repel those younger, fresher guys. But getting back to Canelo, he may have seen enough kind of flaws and kind of enough of the aging process taking its toll on Golovkin that he'll be up for that 3rd fight after he's, of course, fought, and if he wins as well, against Sergey Kovalev in November. But yeah, Golovkin, let's not write him off too soon. I don't think he's finish necessarily, and he was up against a really good opponent who put forward a great performance and still managed to just about get the job done. So he's still very much a world-class fighter. It's just whether he's a fighter caught in between styles, lacking a bit of focus, perhaps because he was dominant in the first 2 rounds, maybe thought it was going to be easy. He hinted at that in his post-fight interview. Or this is kind of the start of the steady decline. And we won't really know that until his next fight, or maybe even the fight after that. But a bit more to talk about still. But let me know what you thought of Golovkin's performance, who you had winning the fight, importantly, and where you think Golovkin should go next. Is he finished as a top-level operator, or is it more that he's just still having to adjust to Jonathan Banks' new style? Needs to add, as Banks says, a bit more lateral movement, not move back as much, move his head a little bit more, and just throw more punches. You know, I guess that gets harder as you get older, but it's something that they're certainly working on. Before I let you go, I should just mention the Golden Contract Featherweight Tournament MTK are putting on. First 4 quarterfinals in the first of the 3 tournaments they're putting on took place on Friday night at a bustling, passionate York Hall, as is typical of that venue, of course, bit of a cauldron. And it had some really good action. I'm not going to go over every fight one by one, but what I would say is stick with the Golden Contract Tournament because it does produce really good fights. Ryan Walsh's stoppage over Heron Sokaris was particularly exciting, I thought, and Lee Wood's gradual kind of beat down and destruction of David Oliver Joyce as well was absorbing. So two really good fights, and the others were watchable too. So definitely stick with those 3 tournaments. The super lightweight one's not too far away now, and O'Hara Davis and Tyrone McKenna recently had some sort of altercation in a car park, I believe. So maybe they'll renew acquaintances in that tournament too. Let us know what you thought of the Golden Contract, as well as Golovkin against Derevyanchenko. And we'll read your comments, maybe reply to some of them. I'll be back next week for Reflections, Monday again, 4:30 p.m. And here, looking ahead to the Josh Warrington card, among other fights, this Thursday, 4:30 p.m. with FLEXpectations. As always, really appreciate your time, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.